You don't have to eat meat for every meal. That's the thought. So I'm coming to you from my kitchen in late January to try to preen you in another way. You might not have stuck with all of your New Year's resolutions, because changing is hard. It's a lot easier to sustain any kind of change or to change your behavior if you change your environment or even thought processes. So the one thought I want you to take away with this video is you don't have to eat meat for every meal. We're going to break this down into the social reasons why, the logistical reasons why, which include the carbon emission part of it, and then we'll go over the practical reasons why, or how easy it is to do. And I promise it is as easy as cooking your own food. And cooking your own food is easy too. Man, do I have to get that idea out too? Nice. Socks are much... So this is my kitchen where the magic happens. So socially, no one likes to be pawns and puppets. And to a great extent we are, to our environment and to the advertising and to the things that we see. I've talked about this in my identity video. Peter Coffin talks a lot about this in all of his cultivated identity work, which I suggest that you watch for more thoughts on that. So let's get this out of the way. Let's bang on meat eaters a little bit. Specifically the people that consider themselves meat eaters. You're not special. It's actually a really pansy move to say that, oh, I need to eat meat for every meal. I like my meat. I hate green things. That's really weird and dumb, and your body needs more than that, and you know that because you've lived up till now, and you end up eating a lot of green things. First of all, this is a YouTube video. You don't have to posture to me. I can't see you. I can't judge you, and I am not. I used to be a posturing male. I used to talk about how I needed to eat meat for every meal and how I couldn't go vegan or vegetarian. But it's not that hard. It's not that different. It's still food. Everything we use to change our food and make it different, spices, are grown out of the ground. And a big thing that makes meat that we eat enjoyable is what we spice it with and how we treat it. Even if at this point the thing you enjoy most in your meals is how your steak is seasoned, or a good steak, a lot of that is seasoning and cooking method. It's not technically meat. It didn't come off an animal. It's cooking. It's using the kitchen. Come to think of it, I also talked about this in my All Food is Good Food video. Not only do you not have to eat meat for every meal, but also a lot of you don't. Well, a part of not needing to eat meat for every meal also breaks down to not having to eat protein for every meal. That's the big thing against vegetarians and vegans. How do you get your protein? Where did the cow get its protein? It didn't eat beef. If you open up your palate to foods and different kinds of greens and not just the same 3 that you like, I'm talking to my past self here, you'll find your protein. There are beans, there are soybeans, soys are also beans. You, intrepid viewer, don't have to worry about where you get your protein because I'm not saying you can't eat meat. I'm saying you don't have to eat meat for every meal. I'm saying you can eat less meat. In fact, a lot of people don't. A lot of people straight up skip lunch, or skip breakfast, or just eat one meal. In fact, a lot of the manliest men of you, the bodybuilders, the people that consider themselves serious and have places to go in the morning, already have a protein shake for breakfast that contains more than your daily supply of protein. It might have milk in it, it might have ice cream in it, it might just be a shake, it might be a smoothie with fruits and vegetables in it too, and then a protein powder. But that can be your daily protein, and you don't have to eat meat for the rest of the day now. At least you don't have to eat it for lunch. You might not have to eat for dinner. So a lot of serious people already don't eat meat for a meal or 2. Another thing you might think is that this is the way it's always been. This is how we eat in America. Bacon for breakfast and eggs, a meaty sandwich for lunch, and then dinner with some kind of roast. That's fine, but not necessary. It's not how things have always been. And it's not the peak of healthiness. Our nation's super obese, right? You can dive into world history all over, but you'll find that a lot of people did not have meat for every meal. Because meat, until we industrialized everything, was kind of hard to hold on to. You may argue we've always had livestock, which, yes, we have. I'm not arguing that we haven't. a lot of the diet of medieval people was bread and cheese. That was a staple for just about every meal. But also, they only ate like one meal, so it had to be full of fats like that and calories. So bread and cheese and eggs did kind of serve it up. But those are all byproducts so that we didn't have to kill the animal and we could live off it. And once in a while, there would be meat in there. Maybe once a week, once a season. It all depends on how far back you go. For a lot of Japan and China, their staple was rice and soybeans. And that's how they got most of their nutrients. Of course, you throw in plants, you throw in spices, seasonings, and that's what makes the difference with food. And then once in a while, you get to eat chicken. The point is that this infatuation with eating meat all the time is weird and actually a little wrong. Wrong because you don't need all that meat. It's unnecessary. Wrong because it's unsustainable for the planet. You are part of a machine, a cultural machine that's made to consume things and need things and then makes waste out of them. And the waste is what goes into us making the food and what is left over when we're all done with it. So in order to make 1 pound of beef, we need 40 pounds of grain or something insane like that. Or you could just eat a pound of grain. And that is much more efficient. Now I forgot the name. I forgot the name of the movie. On Netflix, there's a Cowspiracy movie. Even the big corporations that are trying to protect nature, the natural protection nonprofits, don't acknowledge the dangers and the wastes of livestock when it comes to global warming and emissions. And that is because these things are hard to change. You may say if things are hard to change and near impossible to change, and why should I have to change my diet? Well, because you're carrying around some toxic ideas. And also because things are gonna have to change. If we're gonna have an inhabitable planet, we need to be sustainable. We need to be able to eat in a good, healthy way for the planet and for ourselves. And the sooner you get used to it, the better quality of life you'll have. Unless you just want to be the last generation. That's not a choice. We're not doing that. We're saving things. Now we're going to touch on the vegetarian and vegan side of things. You shouldn't label yourself. There's a lot of toxicity that goes along with the vegan brand. There is a factor of judging people, but also, as we see with some very terrible YouTubers, there's a level of actively judging people and giving misogyny and sexist language and just terribleness a place in you yell at people. And just because you don't eat meat doesn't make you a good person, and the way you treat people is very important. We're doing this because we feel for animals, but we should also feel for people. And if we're not doing this because we feel for animals, we're doing this because we want it to be sustainable and we don't want to be torturing things anyway. To vegans, I would say be excited for your foods, because there is a lot of food options that are not available if we center everything around meat, weirdly. You can just point out that it's weird that we have meat for every meal when it's not necessary. And also, it stifles the flavors. The centerpiece of a meal can be a squash. It can be a dish, a piece of fruit. It can be a stir fry that doesn't have meat in it. The goal of this is not to judge people. The goal of this is to let you know that you don't have to eat meat for every meal or even every day. And it is very easy to do. Last time we were in the kitchen, I made ratatouille, which you can see in my Californication video. That is the actual recipe for ratatouille that I do. Onions, eggplant, zucchini, another green thing, whatever. You put it in a dish, you cut it up, you serve it, you eat it. It's a whole meal without meat, and it's the center point for it. It may seem hard to start cutting out some meat from your diet, but it's very doable and it's very easy. All you have to do is be interested in little recipes. There are free recipes available at the library. You can check out recipe books. It's best to start out with some vegan recipe books. I think I have a couple now. Recently, my partner checked out Vegan Brunch, which I'm not endorsing because brunch is weird, but it's just Easy. It's available. It's free. You borrow a book. You look at it. You write down some recipes you like. You copy them down. And you try them. And if you like them, you keep them. And then you put that in your arsenal of food that you can cook. What I don't like about some vegan foods, in that I don't find it enticing, is that they replace meat with something else, like some kind of they replace meat with some kind of vegetable cacophony that is supposed to be kind of like meat. And those are all right, but I think that doesn't get us away from the mindset that we don't have to eat meat for every meal. We don't have to center it around a meat-like thing. I like the recipes that have no strings attached to this idea that meat's part of a meal, that can be completely different or completely off-center, such as ratatouille. Now this is our cookbook. It's just a binder full of recipes that we've copied or printed from the internet or torn from free magazines. Your local grocery store or a co-op grocery store will often have free magazines or at least free recipes, and you can check them out and check out the vegan ones or new and interesting dishes. You can't say it's not American because, like, maize, hunter-gatherers, the Native Americans did not eat meat for every meal. Their major meat was venison, was it? I think it was venison. Anyway, they had maize, and they would hunt a couple of large animals, but that wouldn't be a once-a-day meal. It would be once a week, and then, like, for a dinner meal, and then the regular meals would be corn, it would be wheat, it would be plants. We've been eating for this for about a year and a half, and we have so many recipes. That was a bath bomb recipe, by the way. You don't eat bath bombs, but you can make them. And some of the meals are just, this meal is 1 baking sheet tomatoes and chickpeas. It serves 3, possibly. You just roast chickpeas and tomatoes and put some seasoning on there, and it's a really good meal. The other thing we do is we plan all of our meals ahead of time. So how I used to do it when I lived alone and was a weird bachelor, I did cook for myself, but I never planned things ahead, so I would just end up going to 2 or 3 recipes that I just kind of did. I'd make eggs for breakfast, I'd make a sandwich, I'd make a stir fry. Once in a while, I'd make a whole lasagna by myself, and that was it. And if you don't plan things out, then you're probably going to go with whatever is easiest. And whatever is easiest in our culture is meat. So the first tool is to plan out your weekly meals, and that might be hard to do for you. It's hard to do for me, but my partner is real good at it, so I let her do it for me. On Wednesday, my partner had savory oatmeal, which you can Google. We do have veggie burgers. Tonight we're having pizza, which, if you'll remember, does not necessarily have to have cheese on it. It could have a nun pizza with... So our pizzas today will actually be done with some sourdough starter that my partner has. Also, we're going to use pesto sauce on top of it to give it flavor. And it's actually a different and more unique flavor from pizza. Why do you want to eat the same pizza all the time? You don't. Pesto sauce. On Sunday, we're going to have okonomiyaki, which is a cabbage pancake, pretty much. You take cabbage and a couple of different other vegetables, you chop them up, you mix them with the batter, you cook them on the grill like a pancake, and then you have a savory dinner meal. And then we're going to have ragoons as a side, which we made ourselves. Yesterday we had Korean tacos. Even with classical tacos, if you go back over what goes in a taco, the main thing you taste is meat. Like, a lot of the things are the same as like a hamburger, right? There's some kind of wheat thing, there's cheese, there's meat, there's seasoning, there's lettuce. So for a taco, that big thing is taco seasoning. When you eat a taco, the main taste, it doesn't taste like beef. It tastes like taco seasoning. This taco seasoning is what makes the taco meat taste like taco meat instead of just beef. And you don't have to put this on beef. You could put this on anything. But particularly beans or a jackfruit or something like that. And then, bam, you have a taco that tastes like a normal taco because taco wasn't in the meat. The taco flavor is in this. So I think a lot of the pushback our culture has and people have when it comes to changing or shifting their diet is a lack of understanding of what our food actually is and what it takes to go into there. And the more you think about it, the more you realize that meat is not what we like about meat. It's the seasoning. It's the flavors. And we can have that flavor with anything and actually expand our palates to more flavors than that. And the thing that is keeping you from eating your vegetables is not their taste, it's you. And you know, I claimed this video wouldn't be judgy or wasn't meant for judgy, and a lot of my tone might sound a bit judgy, and that's just because emphasis and emotion, and you need that in an argument. So I would like to apologize for the tone, because I'm not that great at giving emotion without necessarily bending to anger. Oh man, so there's some great things to go. I need a favorites place. There's some favorites I have, and I thought I'd share them with you, but they're hard to find. Luckily, I can edit this down. So from a site called Cookie and Cake, I have this Thai red curry with vegetables recipe. And you might think that curry, that has to have meat in it, but it doesn't. It's from India, where a lot of people think, cows are sacred, so they don't eat them. So a lot of Indian foods, while spicy, will also be vegan or vegetarian and have these corners done. So you need rice, oil, onion, salt, ginger, garlic, bell peppers, orange or yellow bell peppers, carrots, red curry paste, coconut milk, water, thinly sliced kale, coconut sugar, tamari or soy sauce, rice vinegar, and then like a garnish. And you can always skip the garnish. And cooking for yourself might be intimidating, but if you have it planned out ahead of time, you can get home and cook just by following the directions. Prep time 10 minutes, cook time 30 minutes. In 40 minutes you can have a meal. If you need a snack before that, there's always protein. My partner makes these. They're little protein bites. No bake. She packs them together with oatmeal, raisins, some other stuff. You can look it up. And pop in your mouth. It's a good snack or an appetizer, and it can almost it can stave off a meal for a little bit while you're cooking. And we just about always have one of these on hand, because whenever we're feeling hungry or snacky, pop one in your mouth. You don't need to eat anything again, and then they're a little bit salty, so you'll have to drink water, and that water helps too. I also have them in my locker at work. Whenever it's apparent that it's going to be an hour or two until I get a real break and can really eat, I just sneak into the back, I pop one in my mouth, I drink some water, and I don't feel like I'm dying while working. This is an excerpt from a magazine that we got at a grocery store. It's for a savory oatmeal bowl. And it's oatmeal, there's kale, there's carrot, and then there's some egg in there. And again, I know meat, whatever. I don't care about strictly being vegan for all of this. Just vegan is always available to you. This is one I haven't tried. Mexican street corn. You grill a cob, you put on mayonnaise. Gross. That sounds gross. Replace that with something less gross. Mexican crema, sour cream. Katja Parmesan cheese. Man, this is... I found the okonomiyaki recipe, which is one of our favorites. This I got from Budget Bites. And Budget Bites is a cool site. You don't have to do a full recipe. You can actually take it down by serving or person. So you can do a half a recipe and it will adjust all the ingredients for you. So it takes an egg, water, soy sauce, sesame oil, flour, shredded green cabbage, carrots, green onion, and oil for frying. And then you can top it with... spicy mayonnaise, sriracha, and sesame seeds, and more green onions. Cashew ginger stir fry. This we got from a book, but you could probably Google and find a similar recipe. Sesame oil, onions, garlic, ginger, bell pepper, broccoli, cashews, soy sauce, water, and curry paste, which is optional if you want it spicy or not. That's the great thing about cooking your own food, is you don't have to make it spicy. Like if you're like, oh man, Indian food sounds nice, but I can't eat spicy things. If you make it yourself, you don't have to put spicy things in it. You have control. And that's the other great thing about making your own food. There's vegetarian French dip, which does replace meat with something else, but I do really like this recipe, so I'm going to share it anyway. You need yellow onion, portobello mushroom, That's going to be what's going to be there instead of roast beef. Tablespoon butter, thyme, oregano, vegetable broth, soy sauce, brown sugar, garlic powder, French rolls, and slices of provolone. Or you can even replace that with vegan provolone. I don't care. But you get all of the goodness of a French dip, but you don't necessarily have to have roast beef. And here's a special favorite, because this is one of the best meals I had when we first started trying to cut out a lot of meat from our diet. This is the spaghetti squash burrito bowls. We got that from Cookie Kate website again. But you take a spaghetti squash, you cut it, you grill it in the oven, you roast it, and then you pretty much put a coleslaw in it that you make, and then you can also add salsa, and then you just eat it with a fork, and it's really fantastic. I think we even had it when my family visited for Thanksgiving, and it's a really good meal, and I like it a whole lot. And also, if you want, you can just take it all up with your fork and eat it with chips. So here are the thoughts that we have, and if you made it this far, please give me a like. Our major thought is you don't have to eat meat with every meal, and perhaps a lot of people already don't. Then, it's a lot easier to control what you eat when you cook your own food. The best way to accommodate change is to plan for different behavior and different things to be available to you. And those are just a couple of the things that I took out. Put down your favorite thought in the comments, or even share your favorite non-meat focused dish. So it can still have meat or eggs or cheese in it, but just so the focus of the meal isn't on the meat, share your favorite one if you have one. Otherwise, feel free to look for other favorite dishes in the comments. Not that I get a lot of comments yet. Share this video wherever you share it, and anything about meat or food. If you thought there was anything good or valuable in it. You may think that I went a little harder on people that eat meat than people that are vegans in this video. And that is, well, I didn't call the people I meet sexist. If someone makes a video that isn't fully endorsing a lifestyle choice, such as veganism, then they don't consider it an ally video and complain about it. So don't worry, I don't have friends there. Subscribe for more videos. They won't all be like this, but they should be thoughtful videos that should change your mind, or at least make you think of a certain way, in a certain light, such as this. And then I won't always talk about cooking, but it is a major part of my life because I cook, so it'll probably come up again. Hit the little bell if you want to make sure you see every one of mine. And if you really, really like me and you want to help support this, I have a Patreon too, where I talk about short stories I write and other thoughts. Remember, you don't have to eat meat for every meal. Remember, you don't have to eat meat for every meal. Remember, you don't have to eat meat for every meal.